of a group of cells, organelles, whatever, directly informs what it does. Okay? Structure equals function. This is my little abbreviation for function. Welcome back to math. Okay? Function. Structure equals function. In lab quite a bit, right? We talked about the epithelial tissues. We talked about some of the cells that come up in your connective tissue. We talked about muscle cells. We talked about nerve cells. They're all made by the same body. Okay? Cells that connect body parts or cover organs, they are what kind of tissue? What kind of tissue will you find a fibroblast in? Connective tissue. You're going to find fibroblasts in connective tissue proper. Okay. Epithelial cells, you'll find that in epithelial tissue. Epithelial cell is just kind of any one of your simple squamous, your simple columnar, your simple cuboidal, your stratified. They're all epithelial cells. Okay. And then erythrocytes, fancy name for red blood cell. Erythro means red or blood. Don't quote me on that. We'll get there when we get there. Okay. Four things, all of the above. Okay. In your body, you also have cells that move organs and body parts. And those are your skeletal and smooth muscles. We talked about muscle tissue, all the things that it can do. You have skeletal muscle that is under voluntary control, smooth muscle and cardiac muscle that are involuntary. They do stuff. This is part of what they do. They shorten forcefully. And that's what lets your muscles contract so that you can pick stuff up or lift heavy at the gym. Okay? Move. That's kind of what they look like. That skeletal muscle cell, very long, multinucleated. Remember hearing about that a little bit here and there. Cool. Okay. You have other cells that store nutrients. Cells like fat cells. Fat cells store a lot of nutrients, actually. A lot of nutrients, a lot of food fuel that your body can then use to enact your daily activities of living. Okay. You have cells that fight disease. Those are things like your macrophages, your helper T cells, your B cells. B cells don't really fight things directly, but that's a different conversation. Okay. But you do have cells that help to fight disease as well. That's a fat cell. That's a macrophage. Okay. You have cells that gather and dispense information. That is your neurons. Your neurons send electrical signals from one cell to the other to inform your body of what's going on inside, what's going on outside, what actions you may need to take to protect yourself, anything like that. Any type of external stimuli, hell, even most of your internal stimuli. That information is taken up into your brain, processed real quick, and then your body does something to get you, the body haver, to do something about it. Okay? Like when you need to pee, There's nerves that go near your bladder that get triggered when your bladder is too full, that tells your brain, hey, you gotta pee now or you're not gonna make it, right? So all of that kind of stuff is what your neurons do. That's what a nerve cell looks like. And then you have cells of reproduction. Cells that their express purpose is to make more humans. In males, that is sperm, and in females, that is the egg. Okay. Something that we talk about that all cells do is eventually age. We all get old. Death comes for us all. Sorry to tell you if you didn't already know. Okay? Aging is a very complicated process, and we're actually not even, we as a scientific community are not exactly entirely sure why we age. We have a couple of theories. One of those is the free radical theory. The free radical theory basically states that kind of as you go through life, you build up a bunch of free radicals and they damage your DNA kind of as you go along, and eventually you just kind of give it up. That's one theory. Another theory is that as we get older, our mitochondria become less effective, they become less efficient, and eventually they start kind of breaking down. And when you don't have energy, what you gonna do? What are you gonna do without energy? Exactly. Cut it, right? So that's another one of those theories that we talk about. Another theory that we talk about when it comes to aging is the genetic theory. And that theory essentially proposes that aging is built into our DNA, that we are predisposed to the eventual breakdown of our bodies, of our cells, of our everything. Okay? That theory kind of states that, well, it has kind of two parts to it. One, that aging is built into our genes, it's written into our genetic code. And two, with each cell division, your telomeres, there's like a little bit kind of at the end of your DNA called the telomeres that shorten every time they divide. And if your cells have been dividing your whole life, they start dividing when you're they start dividing when you are two cells that just became one. You start dividing, right? It starts dividing from literally that second up until you're born, aged 80, maybe. You're not going to have that much of your telomeres at the end left. They get cut and cut and cut, kind of like an aglet. Y'all watch Phineas and Ferb? You know what an aglet is? I know your generation. Okay? So that's another one of those theories. And then telomerase is an enzyme that helps to kind of prevent those telomeres from degrading, but it's just a protein. It's not going to work perfectly forever. Just like every other protein, it's going to get some degradation, going to get some miscommunication over time. Okay?